Saturday. Shit, sorry. Already off to a bad start.
Hey, it's late enough. It's probably
It's
Sunday in like
somewhere.
Australia.
Exactly.
We'll ask B-League Dan to let us know about
So for all you Australians watching, thanks and happy Sunday. For anyone in the United States, the continental United States, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday after Thanksgiving, after Black Friday, after Turkey Day. Saturday. Yeah, there was a lot going on in those 3 days, 4 days.
I was impressed.
After Halloween, it just feels like it's packed in.
Right? Like
It
everything's
almost
happening at
feels
once.
like Thanksgiving should be in October. Does some country have it correctly?
That's for another country.
Another country that would be.
I like Thanksgiving in October.
Oh no.
I like American Thanksgiving. It gave me football on Thursday. Took the day off work to watch the Packers crush the loser Lions. That was.
Oh my. I was like, Kyle must be so happy right now.
I don't even care that the Packers won. I love that the Lions lost. I'm at that level of petty where I just want to see them lose as much as possible because everyone is riding high on them. It's awesome. Man, I was if only Fields didn't fumble. If only, well, actually, to be fair, if only the defense didn't allow 2 touchdowns in 4 minutes, the Bears might have won that game too. That would have been really hilarious.
Can we just talk just for a second about the Jets? Jets. Did anyone watch that game yesterday?
Nope.
Like I'm watching the game and I'm thinking
we had a show last night, so
I was too busy. Defensive side, I want to kill everyone on the offensive side. The defense, it's like the defense before halftime intercepts, gets a touchdown. Game's kind of close. Ball turns over. Like literally maybe 12 seconds. Then it's not literal. So there's like maybe 12 seconds left. Jets offense comes on the field, throws a Hail Mary, gets intercepted, runs for a touchdown. I'm like, if I'm on the defense, I'm just like walking off the field. I'm walking through the tunnel, going, "Hey, yeah. I got leftovers. You guys, you figure it out. Figure it out." That was the
You don't have to pay me for this game.
Exactly. I'm done. That was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've seen a lot of disgusting things on the football.
I mean, they chose to start Tim Boyle. I don't know what they were expecting.
I mean, it's just prototypical Jets, right? It's just what happens with the Jets.
I mean, it seemed like Zach Wilson was benched more for it can't be play. As bad as Zach Wilson is, he's way better than Tim Boyle. So you can't tell me this was a better quarterback quality play move. This is a locker room move. Wilson had just been so bad, they just needed to make a change for the sake of the locker room. Yeah. This is the change you go to, though. You're going to lose the locker room more. I bet the locker room now wants Zach Wilson. Maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe it was a Salah plan to get the players to like Zach Wilson. Yeah. I'll show you it could be worse, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
We have Tim Boyle. Like, of all the options they could have gone out, like, as much as, okay, talk about bad locker rooms. Carson Wentz. He's the epitome of it because as a quarterback, on-field play, he's way better than most quarterbacks that are starting. But it seems like he's just been disregarded by teams years in a row for the locker room stuff. Players don't like him for whatever reason. So, but if the Jets locker room is already in disarray, you may as well bring him in then. Like, you can't get that much worse. But your quarterback play will improve. So he's still out there. They could totally go sign.
No, I thought he signed with someone.
Oh, did he?
I think he signed with someone.
Oh, okay, well that's.
I heard something like when they drafted Jalen Hurts, like he was shit to Jalen Hurts. Like it was
really?
It was like Mean Girls shit. Like
it's funny that everyone thought
sit at this table
Rodgers would do that to Jordan Love.
Right.
And yet everything we've heard from Jordan Love is that Rodgers was a great teammate. Exactly. We still talk now. The narratives people love to spin sometimes are just hilarious.
I know. It was like he was like Mean Girls mean to Jordan.
That's the one thing. Can I rant? Aaron Rodgers is perceived and viewed as this bad teammate. Yet everyone talks about like, oh, how often does he yell at? Again, Packers fan. I've watched a ton of Packers games. I remember 2 instances in all the years that he's actually yelled at someone on the sidelines, and one was the head coach. Like he was punching upwards. Like the only player I've ever seen Rodgers yell at is center Josh Myers, and honestly, he's pretty bad, so I can get why. But a lot of times it's because he's not snapping the ball quick enough. Like after we take a delay a game or force timeout, snap the effing ball. Like that's literally it. I've never heard Rodgers ever like throw anyone under the bus.
Or just a bad person. I don't think that people think he's a bad teammate.
I don't think he's a bad person. I get the whole like.
I mean, like a bad person. I think he's extremely narcissistic.
Thing, like,
he's extremely.
Sure. But I mean, what quarterback isn't? Because I think of. Like, I've seen Kirk Cousins yell on the sidelines to Diggs and Thielen before. How many games did Phillip Rivers just, like, lay into teammates? Ben Roethlisberger, days after a game, thought about this, okay, you had the opportunity to decide, I'm not going to say this, went on a radio show and literally said, rookie James Washington lost us the game. He literally threw a rookie
You're
under the bus.
talking about a man who...
Oh, Ben Roethlisberger's a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing he's done. But all I'm saying is, Rodgers isn't a bad person, yet he gets this rap for it. But, like, there's a ton of other quarterbacks I'd argue are worse.
I used to follow Rodgers on Twitter. I wouldn't say he's a great person. Like,
I wouldn't want to follow any of these guys on Twitter. I'd rather follow you.
Some of them are really good on Twitter. Like,
sure, some, but most
really
aren't.
Good on Twitter.
I think with Rodgers, like you said, it's a perception thing, right? And it's he's one of those people who, and I might be of the same ilk, where, like to kind of be on the outside, you're like, I don't know about this motherfucker, like, but then if you spend time with them, you're like, honestly, what a great time, And so I think Rodgers is kind of like that. And obviously the vaccine stuff is like, come on, dude. Like, it's one of those more, I'm like, obviously everybody has opinions and thoughts about things, but it's also one of those, like, what did you go to college for? I don't know if this is your lane. Like, I don't know if, like, breaking down RNA and whatever goes into, like, making things that, make vaccines and medicines is, like, your lane. I don't know that that's what you went to college for. I could be wrong. I just don't remember what your major was.
I think he went to college for football. I don't think he cared about what he majored in.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to say, And so, like, it's one of those things that's like, hey, man, I don't fucking know. And I don't know that you know either. And I was like, early this year, I was kind of one of those, I was one of the people who, like, maybe Rodgers is swinging around where, like, he's going to be cool again, where, because, like, when he showed up to OTT, I think it was, when he, like, was dressed like, and this tugged at my heartstrings, so I'm a biased thing, but when he showed up as Cameron Poe from Con Air, I was like, do I like Rodgers a lot? Do I? I think maybe I do. Yeah, like, am I back in? And, like, since then, he's, like, said some stuff that I'm like, all right, dude. And, like, he and, like, Travis Kelce going back and forth. I'm like, all right, like, there's some lanes we could stay in, but
I missed this.
Whatever.
But I also don't follow either on social media, so that's probably why I missed this.
Well, I mean, like, for me, you feel bad for him because he was, like, one of the first quarterbacks that got. Everyone was like, oh yeah, he's gonna get picked in the first or second round, and then they kept showing him, and you see him in the green room. And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad for him. And then he does really well. And you're like, oh my God.
And all these years later, we feel bad for all those stupid teams that passed up on him, man.
Yeah, passed up on him. And then he goes out and he just, like, gets in a little bitter Twitter feud with Travis Kelce. And you're like, come on, rehab, buddy.
It's one of those, like, things where sometimes people forget that you're like, oh, I'm a grown up. Maybe I should act like it. I get going back and forth about stuff, but it's also like, I mean, I'm more like, I don't know. I'm just more like, okay, think whatever you want.
Exactly.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about it. Like, that's a weird thought you have. But okay.
Do I want to debate you about this? No, because no one's. No. It's like debating about politics. It's like debating about religion. No one's going to win this debate. Why would I waste my time having this debate? You are ingrained in your ideas. I'm ingrained in mine. Let it go. Just let it go. And then what did Kelce say? He's like, it's a Tuesday. He's like, yeah, he just needs. He just needs a Tuesday bump.
Tuesday Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where I'm like, I bet we have more in common than we have that separate us.
Exactly. I mean, you dated Shannon Woolley. I'm dating Taylor Swift. Come on. We got something we can talk about.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about girls. Let's just talk about females. We could do this.
I will say that I did hear, and, obviously it's just whatever this is, but, like, Olivia Munn, who I'm in love with, said that, like, he did not. Yeah, big fan. That he did not go down on her, or he just, like, didn't like to, or something like that. And that would be a sticking point with me and Rodgers. If I knew him personally, I'd be like, you don't do what? You don't like that?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was just gonna say, how do you not like to?
Yeah, how can you not like to? What?
Well, maybe it's Olivia. Maybe it was just.
And that's my question. Does she not taste good? Maybe is that maybe a her thing? I don't know. Maybe Rodgers is freaking weird though.
Well, I mean,
but you know what though? There is this perception that men don't enjoy doing that, but I don't know. I like it.
I love it. There's a few, like, on a list of things that I love. Winning is number one. Like, there's nothing better than winning.
Winning?
Yeah, I want to win my fantasy football league.
I want to win everything that I do. Like, and there's things I'm like,
oh,
it's fine.
I love my wife, but I want to kick her ass every time we play chess.
What else would be number one? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've never.
I don't know.
Go get
I
those
can't think of
W's,
anything.
folks. That's why you're on the
Yeah.
Going for Two Live Network. We're here to help
And
you.
here's the other thing too is you can apply winning to just about anything. So like say you hook up with someone, say
Winning.
you get a promotion, any number of things like that could be a winning thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
All right.
winning is number one,
Okay.
but giving good cunnilingus, top 5 minimum. Like
Top
it's in my top 5 of favorite things.
Right.
I know there's one thing I like doing more, but that's a really close second.
I just okay. Anyway, I don't even know if I wanted to ask Shannon, what's the best thing that you saw this week?
There's this video.
Oh my gosh.
In no particular order, folks. Welcome. Saturday morning. Get you off on the right foot.
Exactly.
Real quick, just because we're kind of tangentially to the subject and he made that joke. So there's this adult film star named Piper Perry. And if you've ever seen like people like arrange things and some people get the joke, some people won't, but like to give you an example, like people put like 5 pepper shakers and 1 salt shaker. There's like a scene that she's in that's like that. And so it's like an internet meme thing that's really funny. This to say, a little while earlier this year, I was playing video games, and this guy that like I don't know, but it was a friend of a friend. We were playing together, and his name was Perry Piper. And I was like, dude, that's a good name. I was like, that's really pretty funny. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, Piper Perry, and he's like, no idea. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I just Perry Piper, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, I was like, well, you need to look up Piper Perry because your name indicates some things. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And it turns out this guy's like real hardcore Christian. He's like, I got to change my name.
That is hilarious. I honestly had never heard of Piper Perry or Perry Piper, whatever.
But you're going to look it up now, aren't you?
So, I mean, necessarily pay attention to names.
Sometimes there's some special ones and they just get ingrained.
No, I mean, I can pronounce Chigozia Okonkwo or Alberto Quebunon pretty easily. I can't really spell Quebunon. I always have to look up to spell it. But like, there's some names I can remember.
Yeah.
Different purposes. Constantly looking at my fantasy teams, I can see those names over and over again. I'll remember.
Yeah, right. The best thing this week. So this is going to be personal.
Okay.
But I have never owned a pair of overalls.
What?
And yeah, I've just never.
In your whole entire life? Like even when you were a kid?
I mean, maybe when I was a child, like someone put them on me, but I guess there's a photo of me when I was like 2 with some on or whatever, but like none that I'd gotten for myself or was like, oh, I'm going to buy these things, whatever. And even years like later, I guess in like my mid-20s or whatever, people were like, oh, you should get some overalls. And I was like, I don't think they're for me, whatever. Like the regular denim overalls, I was like, I just don't think I'm going to put those on, So this to say, I have since bought a pair of Dickies overalls. They're black because I wear black all the time. And I wore them for the first time this week, and it was gangbusters. I mean, just gangbusters. I mean, safely 30 compliments on these
Nice.
things. And I didn't buy them prior till now because 1, I wasn't really a big fan, and 2, I worked in a brewery for a time, and so many people wore them, and I was like, I'm not wearing overalls. I'm going to wear the same thing everybody else is wearing, whatever. So I just never wore them. I had coveralls, similar but different, and this week I got a pair of overalls. I've worn them, compliments everywhere. And one guy even told me, he's like, dude, don't ever even take those off. Just wear those.
Wait, what did you wear underneath it? Anything? What did you have underneath
it? Black overalls, white tee,
nice.
And then I wore like a bandana around my neck. One guy, and I told him, and like he like apologized. He's like, sometimes I just say stuff, and I was like, yeah, man, I don't really care. I try to dress like garbage anyway, so you're not gonna bother me. But he's like, you look like a train conductor, and I was like, great, train conductors make lots of money. But for the most part, gangbusters.
I play a billionaire at parties.
Yeah. So overalls, big fan now.
Big fan.
Black.
What's your overall take on that?
Oh, wow. Wow. All right, we'll do worst thing later. Kyle.
Well, first off, you are correct. Carson Wentz is signed with the Rams. So
Yeah,
good job.
I knew he signed with someone, but I knew they weren't going to play him. But they signed
to
with,
to kind of like connect our previous episode, I almost want to say Silverado. It was amazing. Gladys is
Oh.
right. I totally get like potential of it being the
Dude.
greatest Western movie of all time. And it's funny because I was like, okay, Lawrence casted. I don't recognize that. And then because we were talking about Star Wars, I
Yeah,
went
Star
and
Wars. Yeah.
I watched the trilogy, and I realized he's actually a screenwriter on the greatest Star Wars movie ever, The Empire Strikes Back, as well as Return of the Jedi. So Lawrence casted, and it looks like he'd worked with Lucas a few times, Indiana Jones. So
Yep.
yeah, Lawrence
his
casted.
entire family's in that film too. Like they have bit parts in it. Like,
yeah, I noticed. I think his brother was one of the other, was a producer or director or something. Or
well, I mean, like actual characters in the movie.
Oh, that's sweet too.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, they were like, I love that movie so much.
But you know what? And it's, family ties are so strong, right? I mean, Danny Glover's character with his family,
yeah,
when they visit them, the two brothers and their sister, and
you know, the one thing though, I've never seen the scene. Like I always leave the room in the scene where I know his dad's gonna die. Like his dad goes out, and I'm like, I can't watch this. I have never seen the actual killing of his dad.
They don't actually show it. You just hear the gunshot.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I just
she wouldn't know.
I would know because I leave the room.
No, you just hear it. When the shot happens, you get Danny Glover's perspective, and it wakes him up.
I don't know. That might be worse for me. But when he has the gun across his lap, I'm like, "There's gonna be hell to pay. It's gonna be good. I can't wait." It's a great one. The visuals are just so good.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the greatest thing I saw. Not the greatest thing, but so it's kind of like a twofold, right? I'm on this Agatha Christie kick that I cannot get off. I just can't get off. I can't. I tried.
This is part 4 of the.
Don't get off of it.
I can't. I was gonna watch Gardens of the Galaxy 3, and I'm like, nah, I'm watching Agatha Christie. So on BritBox, they have Agatha Christie, Miss Marple's catalog of the Agatha Christie books are way smaller than Poirot, right? So it's just 3 seasons, and I'm in season 3. That's all I have to say. But the lady that plays her, British actor. So it was filmed in like the 1980s, late 1980s, I think. But they remixed it so it's better. But the lady that plays her, the British actress, Joan Hidston or something like that, was 78 years old when she started the character. Like she is, and the rumor is that morning Jessica Patterson. The rumor is that Agatha Christie saw her on stage and was like, "You need to play Miss Marple," and she was afraid that she would never get to play her. And she, 78 years old, they decided to do a series, and she plays Miss Marple, and she is utterly fantastic at it. And the guy that plays, it's not her nemesis, but it's she's. You guys know Miss Marple, right? She's she never leaves. She does, but everything that she sees has to do with the place that she lives, St. Mead. So it's a guy does something that reminds her of a guy in St. Mead, and she correlates the badness or the goodness with that. So she's never been in the world. She's just been in this little English village and surrounding villages, and she figures out these mysteries, these murder mysteries. And the inspectors, all the police all the inspectors are it's 1930. They're like, yeah, this is a little busybody lady, and she's supreme. Having said that, I was talking to Dan, the B-League, who told me he was watching Haunting in Venice, which is a Poirot, Kenneth Branagh playing her Poirot. And he was saying, there's 3 of them on Hulu. There's Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and The Haunting in Venice. And he was like, the Murder on the Orient Express was super cheesy. And if you watch, that's Missy decided that her spider needs to be. Yeah. Why wouldn't
Pick the cheesy time to start.
Yeah.
Speaking.
She's like, I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah, joking.
They are laying together though, so that's a good thing. Kenneth Branagh's interpretation of Hercule Poirot compared to David Suchet's interpretation of her, they're mind-alteringly different. And so the Kenneth Branagh version of Murder on the Express is like Michelle Pfeiffer. Johnny Depp plays the bad guy. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Murder on the Express, it's it's a retelling of the Lindbergh baby story, basically.
Yep.
And so Johnny Depp's character, and I can see it, he's kind of like, he's Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp doesn't do anything half-ass, right? He's like this oily American who wants Hercule Poirot to, be his bodyguard basically on this train because he doesn't feel comfortable. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing it. Kenneth Branagh version. The David Suchet's version, the guy he actually says, I need you to watch me because I need to atone for something. Never tells him what it is. The David Suchet, Hercule Poirot, is like this God-fearing man. Like, to let these people go, spoiler alert, sorry, to tell another version of how the murder happened, so everyone who stabbed the guy and killed him gets off free, like, breaks him, because he thinks that it's God's will that people should be punished for their crimes, and these people are not going to be punished for the crime that they did. The Kenneth Branagh version doesn't believe in God. He's like pretty much an atheist, and he just lets him go. And I'm like, neither portrayal is bad.
Yeah.
They're both like excellent portrayals, and they're diametrically opposite of how they envision this person to be. And it's like,
it's interesting, how it's that's not even the actors, that's like the writers and how they conceive the characters.
Yeah.
Character wise, like that's
and,
at all levels totally different. Yeah.
And it clouds. I mean, it kind of shades the story different. I mean, you kind of feel worse for the guy on the Suchet version because no, you don't, because he killed the baby. Whatever. Never mind. Never mind. He deserved all 12 stabbings. And so, but I think it was fascinating that she wrote Murder on the Orient Express in 1934, and the guy who had actually taken the Lindbergh baby, he wasn't found till like 1936, right? He wasn't found till like 2 years after. So
maybe she inspired them to look for it.
No, it was crazy. Like, it was, for that time, it was like the FBI.
Big deal.
It was a huge deal because he was Lindbergh. I mean, he was like our version of what, Kardashians, maybe, without with actually having talent, because he flew across the. But yeah, so it was a huge thing. So, but she wrote it before he was electrocuted, before they actually killed him. Which I like her version better. I mean, I think that they should have just put him on the train and let everyone involved in it just stab him one time.
Well, of course, writers are better at writing stuff than actually happens. In real life, stuff happens. Like, we can't control it. Like, these genius writers, like Agatha Christie, she's amazing. So of course, her version of events is better than real life because she's so good at writing.
In the BritBox version, they drug him so that he knows he's being stabbed. Like, he can't move. I know, and they drug him. So he has to lay there, and the first person that stabs him say, "Hey, there's like 11 people behind me. You're not going to die until the last stab." It's like, oh, that's so awesome. Kill a baby? That's what you get. It's really, really bad. Why is Aiden Hutchinson? Aiden Hutchinson's on TV, in case, Detroit.
Too bad for them coming off a loss. Oh.
I was so happy for you.
It's slight revenge, because I can't say it's because the Packers are just so much better than the Lions historically that you'll never get full revenge for this. But they actually mentioned on the broadcast, this is kind of feeling like 1962 Thanksgiving. Literally, the 62, the greatest Packers season ever. They're defending champs. Year 4 of Vince Lombardi's reign there. They have like, what is it, like 9 Hall of Famers on the team. Like, this is the peak of Packers football ever. But even in that peak era of Lombardi, this was the peak season. Lions beat them on Thanksgiving. It's the only loss that season. Literally, it ruined the Packers' perfect season. And if they seemed like they were a strong enough team that if they got through the regular season undefeated, they weren't going to let the perfect season be a distraction. They were just so much better than everyone. They would have gone and grabbed it. Like this, you would have talked about this as one of the 3 greatest seasons in NFL history, along with the 72 Dolphins and 85 Bears. And while 62 Packers are still up there, it's probably not top 3. We're probably talking top 20, maybe even top 10. But like, it totally took that history away from the Packers, and I will never forgive the Lions for that, and that's why I despise them. So this revenge is slightly different because this really screwed the Lions' chance at the number 1 overall seed.
Yep,
which is all they can hope for. We're never going to screw them out of a perfect season. The Lions are never that good. They're going to be in a position for that. So it is slight revenge. Finally, 60 years after the fact, 61 years after the fact. It still
We'll
doesn't
take it.
feel right though. So
Uh,
freaking Lions, I hate them. I can't wait for them to. They'll probably win the division finally for the first time ever. And they'll still lose in the first round. I get like the Vikings did last year. They'll lose wild card weekend to some upstart team with a good head coach. It'll be hilarious that they'll still have one playoff win in the last
17 years.
70. Yeah, I think one playoff win in 70, almost 70 years now.
Yeah.
Like 60 years.
God damn it.
I don't.
Oh, jeez.
That's a lot of pettiness there.
I mean, I want David Montgomery and Jared Goff to keep scoring touchdowns. I've got them in
because
fantasy.
they're on your
nice.
fantasy team.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like we talked about this. Like we're not gonna not draft a player just because they're a bad person. I'm also not gonna not draft a Lion just because they're a bad team, right? Like it's all about the numbers, baby. Baby, right, Shannon?
I have actually not drafted a player because they're a bad person. I haven't done that. I've gone through drafts and I'm not drafting this guy. I don't care how good he is. Because
one thing I'll say is I'm done with Deshaun Watson. Like he looks awful to the point where I'm just not going to draft him anymore.
Well, I mean,
it's not because he's a bad person. It's because he's a bad quarterback now.
I think having isn't there something wrong with his shoulder? Like I think having something wrong with your throwing shoulder that you have to get surgery on might harm your.
It could be. It could be that he. So maybe this is where it all. Maybe he isn't used to pleasuring himself, and that's what's hurting his shoulder. Maybe that's where this all stems from. Just saying.
Well, it's funny because supposedly the shoulder injury happened like week 3, week 4. He was awful before that. They somehow beat the Bengals because they were even worse than him for some reason that one game. But wasn't
that the Joe Burrow calf injury still thing, right? That was
exactly. Yeah. The Bengals offense wasn't operating because Burrow's calf, but Watson was healthy and supposedly healthy. I mean, maybe he got hurt in training camp and they just never told us. But from the reports of when he started appearing on the injury report shoulder wise, again, I think it was week 3, week 4. Before that, he looked awful. So I think he's just the time.
We got to get him back on the table to get those massages. He needs a shoulder massage every day.
Just shoulder though. No
shoulder.
Lower Watson.
Nothing
Don't
else.
Get any ideas.
And somebody else can be in the room. There needs to be an open door shoulder massage.
Why isn't someone in the room anyway? I don't get massages because I hate people touching me that I don't know. First of all, that's that thought is just I cringe at that thought. So I've never had a massage. But
are you saying you need a Christmas gift?
No, I'm not saying I need a Christmas gift. Well, I mean, yeah, but not that.
Are you saying you need that for a Christmas gift? That's what you're saying?
But I don't understand if unless the purpose is to have a happy ending, why isn't there another person in the room when you're giving someone a massage? I don't get that. I mean, I think just for
some people, you're in a state of undress, right? So you probably want to minimize that exposure to I only want one person to see me like that.
You're in a state of undress. Does it matter how many people see you? I don't think so. I mean, once you're there.
Well, for some people it might though, right? That's each person's own tolerance for it.
Okay.
I mean,
because some people don't get all the way undressed for massages, and some people do.
That's true. Yeah, that'll depend as well. It could be there's different not everyone is Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? I'm not gonna go on stage like that, right? So people's own choices with how much clothing they wear, that varies, right? So some people are just more comfortable than others.
I'm so it's such a professional thing to me that I don't think they're ever gonna try to do anything like that to me. That I'm yeah, I'll get undressed all the way. What do I care? This is your job.
This is your job.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I don't know. I guess that.
To be fair, I've never gone and get a professional massage either. I usually just ask my wife,
really?
"Can you back rub?" Yeah. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay for
I'm taking it that you had several professional massages.
Yes, I've had many. I used to have a membership to a place. When I was overseas, I got a massage every day.
Are you saying that's what you want for Christmas? Isn't there Massage Envy? Massage Envy is down here, right?
I don't even know if I like Massage Envy anymore. They're kind of hit or miss a lot of times, but there's some other places that have good therapists.
You're rubbing the table, not my shoulder. Oh, sorry, I missed.
Yeah. There's a place that does a traditional Thai massage, which is kind of a stretching session more than it is you are getting massage, but it's also they're stretching you and stuff, and it's really, really nice, honestly.
So
in
is
my
it
opinion.
relaxing massage or is it for?
So I like both. I mean, I do like a relaxing massage. Like it depends on like if I played, like if I had a tournament, on a
Right.
weekend, like on a Tuesday, like getting a relaxing massage is nice. If I have like if I'm getting a massage going into a tournament, I like a nice like deep tissue like sports therapy massage or whatever.
Okay.
So it's situation dependent. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
can't.
think they're great, honestly. I'm a big fan.
I don't know. The thought of strangers' hands touching my body is just
That's fair. A lot of people feel that way. You're not alone.
oh good. Oh good.
Yeah,
Now
so
I
you
feel
just
better.
don't ever have to get a massage if you don't want to.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would say experience it just to see, just to like see, because like if you have especially like I've had friends that have their license, and I've had like friends give like that have given me therapy sessions like that, and then strangers too. I don't really care. I'm so like I don't want to say I'm naive by any means or gullible, but I am like somewhat aloof. So like there's certain things like I don't even think of, like they don't even register to me like thievery. Like I don't think to like take things that aren't mine. But some people like are like, oh yeah, I'll just take that. Like what's the big deal? And I'm like, oh, I never even thought of it. But then like and like even that, like even like in a professional setting where it's like, oh, you're giving someone a massage, like the what some people like Deshaun Watson, taking it to a different level, like that doesn't even cross my mind. Like I'm just like, oh, why would I even think to do that? I don't know.
That
Um,
sounds like you're a good person and you're respecting people's profession. I think that's that.
Maybe.
You're right.
I don't
It is
fucking
strange to
know.
be a good person. Apparently, it's weird. It's
Yeah, maybe.
so out there, man.
oh,
Yeah.
I know what I
Apparently,
But
want.
when
Gladys's thoughts aren't so out there because Terry agrees. Now,
All right.
Terry and Gladys are cut from
So
the same cloth, but yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say.
sort of. So let's not get crazy with that.
Mountain patat, puss and patat. I don't know.
No, this is Carrie's book, Christmas presents. We were thinking of Christmas presents. It's called "Come Out and Play." If you have kids, or if you know someone has kids, Carrie's book. And if you're into fantasy, Doc's book. So these are books. I want books for Christmas. Trisha Cornwell just came out with a new Scarpetta mystery from first time in like 5 years. So that's. But yeah, 2 books that you can buy on Amazon.
I know some kids that can read.
Do you?
Yeah.
I try to stay away from kids, whether they
Funny,
can
I'm
read
a
or
teacher.
not.
I don't. I'm not
I
gonna
thought
lie
you
though. Like
lived in Canada.
well, it's more French, but I legit had students the other day say, "Oh, I can't read French."
What?
You're in like 10th grade and you've gone to French school your whole life. So yeah, no, it's honestly like, and this is teacher rant, and Terry maybe can back me up on this. Like, I know America's education standards never been so high, but like collectively, North America's like both countries, we've seen like decreases specifically in math. And I think the biggest problem isn't that kids can't do math; it's that they can't read, and so they're not able to understand what the problems are saying because they can't read them properly, and thus they can't figure out what solutions they need. So, like, I think literacy is a massive issue right now.
I agree.
Unfortunately, you can't. Like, the thing is, as parents, you can't rely on the school system to teach your kids how to read. You've got to teach your kids how to read. That's got to be the effort. It's got to be put in. Like, you're making sure your kids reading every night. Like, they got yes, they will do that at school, but you've got to extra emphasize it. To be honest. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because even I'm left-handed and I'm a dude, so the math would say that my handwriting should be absolute shit. However, my fair handwriting, I worked on it for quite a while because I wanted to be good at it, for various reasons. But even last night, like I was writing something and someone was like, "Oh my gosh, your handwriting's so good," and I was like, "Well, I practiced a lot." And reading is one of those things too where like I didn't really read. I mean, I read at school, but I didn't read a lot until I was probably 15. I started actually reading books on my own. And I also, and this is one of those things where like it's an epiphany that came to me a little too late on a teacher who was just, I mean, she was strict and she was maybe did some things that weren't, above board or whatever. I don't know what to say. But that said, she is etched into my memory as far as like how to read and how to write and how to speak and so on and so forth. And as much as I love my Southern isms and I can like definitely lean into that and, up my accent and use those terms, she was from England and use the Queen's English proper. And so like I will never forget her name. It was Miss Edramota. And like when I read like her. And it's very interesting because we would have students, other students in the class that would, and and like say like and do all these things. And she would stop class and she would, chide them and be like, this is not how it is. And it's one of those things that came to me a little too late as far as like being so appreciative of a person like that who really had an impact on my ability to read and write and speak. So it's unfortunate that not everyone has a Miss Edramota in their life because I don't know where she is, but if God's willing, she's still alive and out there, bless up.
Like to Terry's point here, that's great shit. And I think I'll say you're probably not the only one who doesn't appreciate. It's not even from a school perspective. There's probably a lot that as young adults or even teenagers we didn't appreciate, but now we can look back and that was really formative. That was super important.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I know second graders are taking sciences and geography and all this. Like if we really should just English, or I guess English, French in Canada, but like English and math, like that's all you're doing your first, like up until grade 3. Focus solely on that, and then once that's mastered, incorporate, because a lot of science is reading. So if their kids can't read, why are they learning science, right? Like it's like you really need those fundamentals there. And I think part of the issue is, like you said, Chin, it's hard work, and say that like I sound old to this generation because I'm pretty lazy, so I understand this, but like kids now, everything's on the phone, everything is immediate, and if they're don't have the answer immediate, they don't seem to want to put the effort in. So
Terry, like I'll talk to Terry and she's like, hold on, I'm Googling it. Like
yeah.
Like what did you do?
Well, hey, we're guilty, and that's not just young people. That's us too. We're more conditioned to want things immediately, but it's also understanding like hard work. I mean, it says in the word, it's hard, but you got to put that work in if you want to get the results.
Well, it's funny because even like my friends that are in IT, more often than not, like they work in IT department. They'll get an issue from someone, in their company, and more often than not, all they do is Google it because someone else has already solved this problem. And for me personally, like whenever I need to know something, I just go on YouTube and I'm like, how to do X. And that's how I learn how to do it. And I might have to practice to do it, but I'm like, but someone's already done it for the most part. And it is always funny. I like talk about this with like persons that I went to school with, how like, often teachers would be like, you're not going to have a calculator with you all the time, like you don't get used to this. And yet we have a full computer with us
all the time.
All the time. Like we absolutely do. Let's say like, and I am not good at math, but math is fun. Like it's not, and it is. Like there's certain things that I'm like, oh, this part of math is fun. Like I was watching Survivor this week, and they had a math problem, and I'm like, as like not great at math as I am, like I think I'm actually pretty fast at it, and I don't know, for whatever reason, like parts of it work. And I have friends who are just absolute savants. I'm gonna say Rain Man at it. Like I have a buddy who like, it's almost not fun going to the casinos. I don't bet anymore, or gamble anymore, but going to the casinos with him, playing blackjack, he'll just rattle off what you have, like your cards, your chips, everything. It's just like, he is just a Rain Man with it. Just throw a bunch of toothpicks on the ground. He'll be like, yeah, 432 of them. It's silly, but it's also fun. And I think, one thing that we might be missing from society is a little bit more science and math movies that, or shows that like, foment these for people. It's like, I feel like I grew up with a lot of that stuff where like, I don't really love being explained to sometimes with media, but when it comes to with like science and stuff, like the movie The Martian, like a bunch of science, and like the book, like I'm so glad I had it on audiobook, because the math and science parts I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna skip over this, but like hearing it, I enjoyed it for the most part.
It's like one of my favorite Matt Damon movies, actually. No,
for sure.
So yeah, the Google overlords are great, especially since they own YouTube and are feed the algorithm, like the videos, subscribe and all that. But and it's I understand that it's a tool, but also not to have it just be a crutch and be the only thing. I see so many kids that, like, again, and I'm coming from a French school perspective, they'll take the French text, they'll translate it into English so they can understand it, write their
Mhm.
answer in English, translate it back to French, and then they'll write that as their answer.
That seems
Oh,
like a lot
wow.
of work.
Well, it does. It's like if you just learned French
Yeah,
properly
you
back
just
in the day,
learned
you'd go through less effort to do this.
That seems
Mhm.
like
How
a
are you going to
lot
write
of
an
effort.
essay like that? Like,
I know that would take
yeah, I
forever.
know. So it's
That would take
And
building
I'm
blocks, right?
and I'm not I wasn't a great I mean I was an okay student, but I do love learning. Like I love learning stuff, but parts of school like I just didn't enjoy. Like I hate homework. Homework is like the dregs, it's just like the worst. But the actual school part, like learning, I really do enjoy that part, and especially the social part too.
Yeah, the
So,
homework really should just be, you didn't complete this, do it in homework. Like as
hmm
opposed to, oh, I'm specifically giving this as homework. That I agree with. That's kind of antiquated. Like it's, okay, you have time to work on this in class. If you choose not to work on it, it's still expected to be
do.
due tomorrow. You've got to do it in homework. And it's sort of a,
hmm
not a punishment, but it's accountability, right? You get this done. You've got today at school to do it. If you don't, you have time at home to do it. So
I only did my homework at school. Like I would do it before class or after class. I did not do. You wouldn't catch me dead doing homework at school at
but
home.
again, you're still putting the work in, and you found your efficient way to do it. So
hmm
it's about that. Yeah, for sure.
um,
'Cause I think unfortunately, like again, back with the math, just as much as like you're trying to get away from memorizing, like that's how you get those calculations. How you can quickly understand problems is by constantly memorizing.
hmm
I love using numbers. I love like when I'm doing the spreads, right? I'm like the goal line guide, Gladys, and I'm like the first thing I'm looking at is, okay, how do I calculate team implied totals? So you take the over under, divide it in half, and then from there you have to take half of the spread and add it to the higher team and then lower, and that's how you get the two implied totals. But
hmm
like, so having to like, okay, what's the spread is 3.5. How do I know what half of 3.5 is? Well, I know it's 1.75. So I don't have
hmm
to be like calculating that while I'm calculating the other things. Like so like I find it super useful to like have those small numbers. I mean, we don't. I mean, sometimes we get 20-point spreads, but very rarely. Most of the time, it's single digits. Like so to have those even those half decimals or to be able to get that quickly. It's super important, at
hmm
least for me in fantasy football.
I
Yeah.
like numbers, but I don't like. So my college degree is in policy analysis, statistical analysis of policy analysis, and the only reason I did it is because the teacher, when I transferred from Penn State back to U of L, there was a Dr. Lemley. I will never forget him. He wore a stethoscope around his neck so people would, because he had the PhD, and people were like, you're a PhD, not an MD. So he would wear a stethoscope so people would refer to him as doctor. And I'm like, I love this man. So I took all his classes, and that ended up being my major. But I don't know that I necessarily like computing the numbers. Do you know what I mean? Like I like
hmm
it when I can say, oh, I have this stat and I have this stat, but I don't necessarily like being the one who formulates the stat.
You know how to interpret the stats. Okay, this
Yeah,
is
I
what
would
this
rather
means. This is
interpret
how
the
we
stat. I would not
take it.
be the one that
Yeah.
goes, oh yeah, X, Y kind of Z plus 4, 3. Yes, I've got that. No, I'm
That's
like,
true. Like I don't do like an R squared thing on my goal line
yeah,
guide. Like mine
someone
is,
else
it's
get
not
those
even a
numbers
model.
for
It's
me.
just a really primitive thing. But like, yeah, there's some
And
there's
I
some
don't
crazy
know
stats people out
why
there.
this made me think of this, but this week I watched on Disney Channel. They have BTS in their concert in Los Angeles. So I'm watching it because I'm thinking, like, I like that they dance, and that's what I'm
hmm
watching, and I don't have to pay attention. And then so I have everything closed caption. Everything on my TV is closed caption because I don't know why. It's easier for me to follow if it's closed caption instead of listening. I think I'm hard of hearing, actually. But
Well, it may not even be that. Some people just absorb information visually better than
hmm
like through hearing. So
and I'm noticing that they're singing in both, like a song, like
Yep.
a song.
Going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm
hmm
like, that's fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
and because it's closed caption, I'm following in English, and then I'm like, whoa, that was not in English. I think these, and I guess they're not kids because they're like in the military now. Well, they're younger than I am, so they're kids. But that to me was like, is it rote memorization, or do they know what they're saying in English?
I think it's both, right? Because you have to memorize your songs. Like you
Right.
have to have them down.
Okay.
But also it's a way of thinking. They're probably thinking in those terms too, right? They're probably thinking in Korean and then just saying it in English, is what I would imagine.
well, so my wife at university, she took classical vocals, and so
Okay.
like a lot of that is singing in not just English but Italian, French, Spanish, German.
Okay.
Typically, the 5 main languages we see a lot of compositions in. Western music, Eurocentricized version of the world, which is usually never a good thing, but that's how we go about it. But anyway, so I know for her, she'd want the translation to understand what the song's about, but then you really are just thinking syllables. You're putting the emphasis on this is what the syllable's supposed to pronounce like. So even if you don't know what this exact word means, you understand what the song is supposed to mean. So you can like know what emotion to put in. But you're right. So I mean, some of them might actually be fluent in English to where they know and they can
Well, I would think it would be particularly hard because you're mirroring the words with dance moves, like, right? Because that's what they're known for.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Like
synchronized
hard
dance
work, right? They didn't get this way by accident. Like for sure.
Like I'm like Taylor Swift's concerts. I understand they're long and they're great and she dances, but these kids are like, and they actually like followed them backstage, and the one kid was like, "I'm done. I'm beat," and he had to go back on stage. He's like, "This is like the hardest I've worked, in a long time." And he's saying it in Korean, but they're translating it, and you could tell they were like physically drawn. Like it was.
They put their full energy out every show for their fans, which is what, like, I think why Terry and a lot of people like them and respect them, because you can tell they're putting in the work.
They're putting like, and they're doing it in 2 different languages. The whole show. I was like,
it's very interesting, and obviously, Kyle, you can speak to this, but like art is work, to an extent, right? And that is art. And it's interesting a lot of times when like you'll hear persons maybe denigrate pop music specifically and things like, and people liking that kind of stuff, but it's like, this is work. Like it's like the thing I say about hockey. Like the average human could not put on skates, jump over a wall, skate full speed, stop, and skate full speed the other way. The average person could not dance for a solid. Let's just say you do 3 songs, so 3 minutes apiece. So let's just say about 9.5 minutes or so. Dance really hard, memorize a choreography for 9.5 minutes straight. Most people cannot do that, and so.
And you're talking about an hour and a half, 2-hour show.
Yes.
You're doing it for 2 hours.
Yes.
That's
and
like
it's like
15 songs. You have to know each one, and everything's got to be perfect each time.
Oh my God. And plus,
musicians don't make
big
mistakes.
Screen behind you, so if you mess up,
at least I do.
That big screen is showing like everything you're doing. I was like, I have a newfound respect for you kids. I love you.
Yeah. It sounds like some of the BTS guys also know either Mandarin or Cantonese. Yeah. And so I guess I guess part of the they probably study different languages as part of this too. Their education.
But I was blown away. Like I had to stop. I was doing some research. And I'm like, nope, this is done. I've got to watch this because this is amazing. They are amazing.
And it's one of those things where, like some art is obviously appreciated. And some of art is like, again, some people denigrate it for whatever reason, but it's one of those things like you don't always see the behind the scenes on this stuff where like they're in a studio staring in a mirror for 10 hours one day, learning the choreography for 2 songs and only 2, that day or whatever, and the words and all that stuff. And then like, because they're like, they're just up there singing and dancing, whatever. And like, that's like actual work and it is art. And the thing about music specifically is it can take people so many places and easily, smell is like the fastest way for your, brain to like memory to go backwards. But like music can put you in a spot where you're like, oh my gosh, that was when like I remember listening to this song when I fell in love with this person, or I was in this time in my life, or whatever, good, bad. But music specifically is a very, very important art. And I'm very much one to like not go at someone, but definitely, give someone a big yikes if they yuck someone else's yum, especially over something they like in the arts, especially music too.
Well, I mean,
bad at that. I say country music's bad all the time, but knowing that like all these country artists, as much as I don't like the way they sing, they've clearly worked at it to be able to sing and play and write all this and capture these melodies.
Like I didn't watch either halftime show. Apparently, it was a big deal and apparently the Detroit Green Bay halftime show had this rapper kid that was.
I think it was Jack Harlow, but I only saw an image. Okay,
you're right.
Cool.
That's what it was. Yeah, I couldn't remember it either, but then you said it, and then that's
Jack Harlow is so he's known. He's.
It's funny. I had never heard of him either. Yeah, I hear all these people like, oh my God, it's Jack Harlow, Grammy nominated.
What kind of rap does he do?
I mean he does hip hop. he's one of those people, like he and 21 Savage are two people who like I don't really like their songs, but if they're featured on someone else's song, I'm like, this isn't bad. But if I listen to their song, I'm like, I'm not in on this. Yeah,
I
he
didn't
does.
watch either, Gladys. I was too busy.
Yeah,
It was Green Bay, and I needed some green.
And then Dolly Parton did the Cowboy Show.
Oh my gosh, did she not look tremendous?
She does, doesn't she? I love her.
Oh my!
I've seen pictures.
Oh my God.
To add real quick, I'm wearing my Dolly Parton.
Oh, there you
Sure,
go.
I didn't even think about that, but
You know what? And that's how talented you are. You didn't even have to think about it. You still set it up.
Oh, yeah. I love Dolly Parton. I really do. I love her.
And well, talking halftime shows, Green Day rocked the CFL halftime show. I thought that was incredible. Also,
nice.
Get some green before and after.
Canadian? Is Green Day Canadian? Are they a Canadian band?
No.
No, the CFL they'll sometimes do Canadian artists, like Shania Twain had one a couple years ago, but they will bring in American artists too. They want big shows and spectacles.
Yeah, for sure.
Last year it was 2/3 of Georgia Florida line and some other random Canadian country artists, but they were in Saskatchewan, like the country capital of Canada.
2/3.
So that's weird to say, but yeah, so
it
made sense for that.
I did watch. Well, two things to touch on that. I did watch. There's a channel it used to be called All Gas No Breaks, but since no more, it's now called Channel 5. It's this guy who does interviews at different things, and he went to the Canadian Stampede. And does a guy want to go to the Canadian Stampede sometime in his life? Yes, I do. I in fact do.
Calgary Stampede.
The Calgary Stampede. That's what it was.
To be fair, it's the only one in Canada, so yeah, it could essentially double as either.
Well, evidently, like somebody was talking the history of it. They're like, it was actually started by an American, but it's been going on.
Well,
for
it's funny because
100
basketball was
years.
invented by a Canadian, but it's an American sport. So.
There we go. And then Florida Georgia line. I went bowling last night. I only bowled one game. I have a tear in my labrum, so I don't really bowl a lot. But they were playing music videos, which I'm a sucker for. Florida Georgia line came on, and it was like the "Roll Your Windows Down" song. And
wait, where did you go bowling that they have videos?
Bolero in Wheat Ridge, I guess.
Bolero?
Mm-hmm.
Bolero? Okay.
I haven't been to a bowling alley in quite a while.
Uh-huh.
And they had like huge screens, like where like the lanes end, so like right above the pins, they had these huge screens.
How do you focus on bowling if you're watching videos?
That's what I was saying. I was like, it's kind of a sensory overload. Like, I don't know that I'm like more focused in my life than when I'm like throwing that stupid ball down the lane. This to say, they had like one channel that was all animals, so it'd be like dogs and cats and ducks and things like that. They had another channel that was, I don't even know what was going on in that channel, and they had music videos. And then obviously they have the screens above, like to show you like the animations of like planes bombing pins and whatever else goes on. And they have music. The music video music is playing. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
And it turns into cosmic bowling, so it's all glow in the dark. I'm like, wow.
Bolero.
This is not for everybody, but I'm having a great time. Like, because we walked in, they were playing good music, and I looked at my buddy. I was like, "Are we staying here all night?" I'm a sucker for this.
I'm home.
They're playing 2010 through 2012 pop music. We can stay here for all I'm concerned.
Apparently, it's not the only bowling alley. Terry's saying her bowling alley or wherever they live is.
Terry was like a semi-pro bowler. Like, she's
nice.
Really good at bowling. Really.
Well, I know bowling alleys have these things, but I haven't been to one that's updated in quite a while, I guess.
Like Lucky Strike has videos, but they're above the bar. They're not like on the lane. So that's why I asked, because you have. I was like, how is he watching videos if he's bowling and they're at the bar? But
the ball run over the ball. Throw the ball run over the ball.
Yeah.
That's how I get my work.
No, they had like, I mean, it was like 60 something or probably 80-inch screens.
Oh my god!
Like above the lanes, like down the lane. It was pretty wild. I was like, this is pretty
awesome.
Pretty impressive.
Our short attention span.
Gutter ball.
Gutter
ball.
Humanity right now, it's perfect.
I think the Denver Athletic Club here actually has the oldest bowling alley ever, or maybe the first in America or something like that. It's
really?
It's something of that ilk. I can find out for sure, but
it has the original floors of 1846.
Yeah, it's like you go in there and it's like you go in there and there's like a little, like there's not digital anything. It's just like you're like punching in your thing, and even how the ball return is just pretty crazy. It's all very interesting.
It,
It's like one of the oldest in the country, or maybe the oldest, or something wild like that.
DC is, I wanted to work out there once, and I was like, it's way too expensive for me, case. Like, I can't afford this.
Just take the dogs for a walk. That's your workout.
It is, actually. If I take them both together, it's it's
Good
kind of
luck.
like, yeah,
Work
exactly.
hard, right? That's if there's anything
I'm
you
like,
take from today's
please,
episode is work
God,
hard.
don't let anyone have any other dogs out here, because it's like the arm work. I'm like, oh
Don't tear a
My
leg.
dogs do this funny thing where if they're both on a walk, I have them each in one hand or whatever, or in either hand, and then if one is sniffing something, the other one darts over there. It's like, what are you sniffing? And so it's so funny.
no, like Missy's whole goal is to see whatever she can put in her mouth. Like it's like a buffet.
Mhm.
When she goes out, it's
Mhm.
like, oh wait, they left this for me. Oh what? They left this for me. Oh my God, this is so good. And Jack's whole thing is to terrorize people, like to stop.
I want to see the fear in their eyes.
Exactly.
It'd be funny.
And once they do the fear, he's like, okay, you're good. Go on.
You're a human. You have emotions.
Next one.
I'm done with you.
I'm done with
He's
you.
trying to detect sociopaths. Oh, he's not
Yeah.
scared. Ooh, okay, that guy's
Mhm.
that guy's probably
Exactly.
scary.
But if
Speaking of
there's another
sociopaths, oh, go ahead, keep going.
if there's another dog, it's like it's a free for all. It's like we're both gonna kill him, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And it's almost true. So it's my whole goal. Like that's why I take them. Everyone's like, why do you do one at a time? Because one at a time they're good. Like Jack still wants with the fear of God in people, but another dog comes by and he knows that he should sit down next to me. But if they're
You can't gang
together,
up and 2-on-1
yeah,
the dog.
2-on-1, they're like, we got this. You just stay here, Mom. Charge! And I'm like, no, get back here. I'm so
That's
sorry.
the Denver Stampede.
I'm so sorry. It is.
Oh my God,
It's
right?
like Animal in the Wild. Okay, sociopath.
Went to go see the movie Saltburn. One word, Saltburn.
I've seen a lot about that.
So I had seen very little. I just knew that the hot guy, Nate, his character from Euphoria, was in it.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
kissing booth.
yes, Kissing Booth. But I knew that he was in it, and then the cast was really good. Would you
He's
see that?
Australian.
It was
Did he
very
have-
intense. It was a very intense movie.
I've heard people like walked out of some theaters like at certain parts of it because it was so intense.
That to say, it looked incredible. It sounded incredible. It's to correlate it to something. The closest I can get is, and it's not like this per se, but it is Cruel Intentions.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wait, okay. Does he use his Australian accent or does he have an American accent?
he used an
Oh.
English accent.
Okay, I could get on board with that.
So I would say it is worth a watch because it looks so good. It does sound good. It is good,
Super-
but
I heard it's
the
super intense.
the tenseness that it will
Yeah.
give you is palpable. Like it was like an air in the theater. People were just like, you could just tell everybody was like, oh my gosh, like very
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But I like having those feelings sometimes, and it looks good the entire time.
He looks good the entire time. He's a good looking boy.
He is very much
Yeah.
so. But maybe some, I don't know what, but maybe some sociopath stuff going on in that movie.
I saw the trailer for what Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. Is it gonna be on Netflix?
I'm a Zack Snyder fan.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
say.
I love Zack Snyder. And the thing
He
is,
makes
in Rebel
good-looking
Moon,
movies.
everyone uses their own accent. Like the girls from
Nice.
Algeria,
Mm-hmm.
Charles Hunan. What's Jack's name?
Charlie Hunnam.
Thank
Charlie
you.
Hunnam.
Yeah, he uses his English accent. The
Mhm.
English guy that it's like, and the trailer, like I probably won't watch it because it's even in the trailer you can tell it's like ultra violent. Like
Mhm.
it's just she fucks people up and the English guy fucks people up. But Zack Snyder, his visuals are just so good.
Yeah, I think they might make up for like even his, like some people don't like like some of his movies. I, however, do, and they just look so good.
They do.
Like, I know people didn't really like Sucker Punch, the movie about the girls that were in the booby hatch.
Yeah.
know
But
Victoria
I like
loves that movie.
I do enjoy that movie because it just looks so good. Like it just looks a certain way that I'm like a fan. And 300,
Yeah.
I can watch that almost any time. It's just
Well, I mean,
It
Gerard
looks
Butler
good.
helps that too.
He absolutely does.
Yeah.
He does help that movie.
Zack Snyder makes him look even better. Like
Mhm.
he always looks good, but he looks even better.
Yeah, he looked really good in that.
Zack Snyder.
Okay, my dog has decided that it's time for us to
Time.
stop. Yeah, because
Well, yeah. So last thing I just want to say is congratulations to the Montreal Alouettes for winning the Grey Cup, denying the Winnipeg Blue
Yes!
Bombers dynasty.
yes,
They've been to 4 straight Grey Cups, which is an accomplishment, but now I've lost 2 in a row. So
Montreal, go baby, Alouettes.
It was a great
What
game.
are
I
they,
mean,
what's an Alouette? What's their?
it's a bird.
Oh,
I think there's also something else it's named after, but it comes from a Quebec song. Alouette, gentil, Alouette.
Oh,
Alouette,
Alouette,
je te tuerai, which
I'm
means
moving
I
my-
will rip your feathers off.
Yeah,
So
I'm moving my head like an
It's
owl.
about a
too.
nice, joyful bird, and you're gonna mess its life up. That's what the song's about. It's actually very morbid. It's great. That's Quebec.
Okay.
But yeah,
damn it.
kudos to Montreal because
It's such a chippier song.
it's supposed to sound chippy, but the lyrics really aren't. I think we've talked about that last week, right? Like lyrics and music don't always match.
The macabre or the message behind it.
Which I actually like.
I do love that. I do love that about other countries, how they have these songs for certain sport, like especially in the old footy. Like they have these like great songs that you're like, yeah, and it's like could be pretty gnarly.
The one thing I'll say about the game, super exciting. There were several catches that were like, oh my god! Like Austin Mack made this one-handed grab to set them up to. I think that was a touchdown drive that got them the lead. But Montreal was down 17-7 at halftime. So Winnipeg got off to a good start, and then Montreal got the lead. Winnipeg took the lead back with 5 minutes. Yeah, 5.5 minutes left. They regained the lead, and then Montreal scored the winning touchdown with 15 seconds left in the game. So,
That's what you want out of a Grey Cup.
Yeah, that's what you want. And you want Montreal to win.
Again, I wanted Hamilton to win, but they didn't even make it. They didn't even make it to the East Final. So my cheering, rooting nature was kind of out the window like 3 weeks ago. But yeah, at this point, I just wanted to see a good football game, and we definitely got that. Say a classic CFL finish for sure. And Cody Fajardo, CFL MVP, even though everyone was doubting him. Saskatchewan Roughriders let him go as a free agent. They kind of discarded him and said like they put it all on him essentially. Like the reason for our lack of success is this guy. And guess what? Saskatchewan missed the playoffs again. And Cody Fajardo is a Grey Cup champion. So that's always fun. Saskatchewan Roughriders are like the Detroit Lions for me. That's the team I love to hate the most.
I have a Rough Rider shirt. We already talked about
You know what? They are and that's the thing. They're the biggest marketing thing for the CFL. Like that's the most popular image. I remember a couple years ago they showed that 70% of CFL merchandise was Rough Riders stuff. It's just cross country nation. Everyone loves them, which is why I hate them.
That's what I like. Going with the crowd, baby.
That's fine. I will say that their jerseys are good. Like the green, like they're pretty sweet. Among the best jerseys in the league, I think. I biasly put Hamilton there, but black and gold looks amazing, right, Gladys? So it's not that biased. They do.
It's the best colors ever. Shannon, what do you have for our parting ways?
Denver is getting their Pro Lacrosse League team back. The Denver Outlaws. I think they're returning next year.
They went away?
Yeah, I think they went away for a few years, and now they're. Okay. I think they've joined the Pro Lacrosse League. So they're coming back, and maybe I'll go see some of those games.
The National Lacrosse League, Buffalo's only chances at professional sports titles.
Wow.
Sorry, Bills and Sabres.
Wow.
But no, I mean, because I'm pretty sure I thought I saw the championship game this year. They are the defending champs. Buffalo, whatever their team is.
Yeah, I think so. That might be right.
I
think there's 2 or 3 different lacrosse leagues now.
Okay,
because there's Pro Lacrosse League, there's the National, and then there might be, and I think the Pro Lacrosse League is like the newest one, possibly.
Yeah, because I think the National Lacrosse League has been around for a while, which is hilarious that they call it national, even though there's Canadian teams in it. But also Canadian sports. So there we go. Buffalo's close enough.
That was a lot.
Yeah, Buffalo is very close.
I don't know that I don't have any parting things. Thank you, Jesse Patterson, for joining the chat. Thanks, Terry, for joining the chat. Thank the other people for watching who did not join in the chat. If you're on Twitter and you tried to join in the chat, I should have told you earlier. That's not a thing that can happen because we don't get the Twitter feeds. Oh, it's not called Twitter anymore. Whatever it's called.
Yeah, we can still call it that.
I call it Twitter. I will always call it Twitter. I call it Twitter. Also, don't forget.
Might be dying anyway.
I was going to say, they still use the Confederate flags in some places in the States, so we can still call it Twitter.
We can call it Twitter still. Don't forget to follow Jesse Patterson on Instagram. And she probably like can do some stuff for you for Christmas because she does like fabulous stuff. But I mentioned that my dog and I talk shit about you. Coffee mug is from Jesse Patterson. Yes, and we do, people. When I go out and you're walking by, my dog and I are talking shit about you. Just so you know.
After Jack terrorizs someone, you'll
yeah, I'm like,
you see how scared that guy got?
He's scared.
What a wuss.
I know. Missy's like, all of us, we all talk shit.
You see that guy flinch at my teeth, me showing my teeth? Wow.
Wow. I'm only 140 pounds. Shut up.
Yeah.
Don't forget to follow Shannon on Instagram because yes, I get these notifications. I don't know how to turn off the notifications. Americana Allen has added to his feed, and I'm like, damn it. Okay. But I'm like so easily distracted when I'm researching. Yeah, okay, I'll watch that. Then I'm like, okay, then I'll go.
And it's nothing good. Never is.
It's always good. It's always good. And then anything you want to know about any type of sports, ask Kyle at Sinra Says on Twitter. And even music. That is his band around his neck, the title of his band.
Yama Sound. Thanks, Lotus.
Yeah, no worries. And go on YouTube and you will hear them. And they are really good. You're not going to be able, there's only, I think, 2 white guys, Kyle, in the band. You can't tell them apart. I'm just saying. They'll be in the background playing. Kyle.
Funny, because Alex doesn't have a beard or wear glasses. But yeah, we look alike.
I can tell them apart. I couldn't tell them apart. I'm not going to lie.
Well, we were all wearing sunglasses. That's why. So
I was like, what? I know Kyle's in this. Okay. And we will see you guys. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. Be careful. We will see you next Saturday at 9:05-ish, somewhere around there. Thank you guys for being here with me. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to go let my dogs play in the snow for like 5 minutes because it's 13 degrees and I'm not going to be able to stand out there much longer. Like, run back in. Let's go, buddy.
And wipe your paws.
Wipe your paws on the way in, please. Please. All right. Thanks, everyone. We will talk to you later.